Bonjour Beffen, tu vas bien? Bonjour Johanna, vous m'entendez? Can you hear me? Not sure you can. Bonjour, bonjour Loga, ça va? Euh, Bonjour Bella, tu vas bien?
Bonjour, très bien, merci.
Super, ok. Can you hear us Loga? Oh, yeah, you can. Super, ça va très bien, merci Loga. Tu vas bien Johanna? If you can hear us, Johanna.
Oui, ça va bien.
Super, ok. Merci d'être là aujourd'hui. Thank you for coming in today. Hop, bonjour Nora, ça va?
Bonjour, ça va bien et toi?
Très bien, merci. Okay. Well, I think we're going to be able to start right away. Okay. Uh, Others join. They can get the train going. Okay. So as always, I'll share the screen. Okay. Alors, bonjour à toutes. Alors, mardi, on avait parlé de la cuisine en général. Ok. Le titre de l'unité c'était à table. Ok. We spoke about the meaning of table. So it's the same meaning as in English, table, une table. But it's also like an image to talk about, for example, when someone invites you for dinner, or it's an expression to say like dinner is served à table. Okay? Alors, aujourd'hui, donc pour cette séance 2, on va parler de la cuisine. En cuisine, ok? Alors, on va parler de plusieurs aspects. So we're going to talk about, well, several aspects of French, including we're still going to talk about the cuisine. So we'll still have that kind of vocabulary, okay? So we're going to review some of the stuff that we saw on Tuesday, okay? And we're also going to continue to learn well about the vocabulary of la nourriture, okay? On va aussi parler des nombres. So that's something that we saw earlier with the past few lessons that we're going to get in today and something different. We're going to talk about the partitive articles, mais aussi l'impératif. L'impératif qui est très important ici. Ok? Bonjour Chiara, tu vas bien?
Bonjour, ça va bien. Merci et toi?
Très bien, merci. Okay. And lastly, we're going to still talk about some cultural aspect because, of course, we're talking about gastronomy and cuisine in general. So, of course, there's some stuff to talk about and exchange about. Well, our differences in our different countries. Okay. So as always, comme toujours, on va faire des petites révisions sur les repas, l'envie, ok? Et on va aussi parler du coup des unités de mesure avec un thème sur préparons. Does anybody know what's the meaning of préparons? So that is a verb. Could it possibly mean in French or in English?
To prepare?
To prepare, and that's the so that's where what is the person of the verb here? Préparons. Is it like a je, tu,
Nous
nous?
préparons.
Oui, tout à fait. C'est à la première personne du pluriel. First person plural, because you have the ONS. Mhm. And then we're going to talk about les crêpes. On va parler des crêpes, puisque tout le monde connaît les crêpes, ok? Et la recette. So what could recette possibly mean? Any idea, maybe? So we're talking about food. Avec les crêpes, qu'est-ce que ça voudrait dire recette?
A recipe or like how to make, maybe?
Well, it's recipe. So the correct translation would be recipe. You can see that there's like a common root with res, okay? Recette is recipe, okay? So that's when we're going to talk about l'impératif, okay? Et on va encore parler des prépositions. And then we'll have like a final activity that kind of recaps everything that we've seen so far, okay? Well, before going, does anybody have a question about what we've seen on Tuesday? Something that they maybe have missed, or maybe have a specific question? Anything really? No? Ok, très bien. Alors on avance. Comment allez-vous? On va commencer avec toi, Chiara. Comment tu vas?
Ça va bien. Merci. Comment
Super.
ça va, Joanna?
Ça va bien aussi. Et toi, Nora?
Ça va bien, merci, Joanna. Ça va bien, Ethan?
Oui, ça va. Merci. Bella, comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Ça va, Loga?
I think that Logo's microphone is not working.
Oh, okay.
So we'll finish with you, Bella, I guess.
Okay.
Ok, très bien. Bah, super, tout le monde va bien. Ok. So we're going to move on to what we've seen on Tuesday. Everybody was there on Tuesday besides Bella. Okay. So no big deal. We're still going to talk a little bit about what we saw. So we talked about les repas. Mhm. C'est quoi les repas? C'est quoi les repas?
Dishes?
It's
Meals?
not. Yes, it's meals. Un repas could be possibly like a dish. However, here we're talking more about the meal aspect. Okay. Alors, on a par exemple quatre repas en français, hein. Donc, on a un repas le matin, le midi, un repas l'après-midi et un repas le soir. What we said about like le matin et l'après-midi is that these weren't really meals in itself. It's kind of more of a snack. Comment on appelle le repas du matin? On avait dit que c'était
Déjeuner.
le petit déjeuner, tout à fait, oui. Est-ce que quelqu'un connaît ce que c'est ça? C'est quoi?
Brioche?
Une brioche, oui, une brioche. Alors, si on parle des partitive articles, we would say, like, for example, de la brioche. For example, if like you're asking someone if they want some brioche, you would say, tu veux de la brioche? Okay, for example. After we have the on a le midi. C'est quoi le repas du midi?
Le déjeuner.
Le déjeuner, oui. Le déjeuner. Donc on enlève petit, là par exemple. Hop, on a déjeuner. Alors comment est-ce qu'on appelle ça? C'est quoi ça ici? Think of the English word.
Le sandwich.
Ah.
Oh, alors, il y a un sandwich. Alors on peut dire un sandwich baguette, effectivement. Si on veut, if you want to specify what bread you're using, you could say un sandwich baguette. And that kind of stuffing is I wouldn't say specifically French, but it's something that you often found in bakeries. It's like it's sort of a dry sausage, and it's called like un sandwich rosette. Mais vous pouvez dire un sandwich baguette. Ok, très bien. Alors pour l'après-midi, comment est-ce qu'on appelle le repas de l'après-midi?
Les goûters,
Le goûter, oui, très bien. Le goûter. Ou alors, on avait dit aussi qu'il y avait... Alors, c'est un mot anglais. Le goûter ou
Le snack.
le snack, oui. English is kind of becoming like the lingua franca of the world. And more English words are incorporated into French. So it's often found like, for example, with the snack, it's often said. However, le goûter is more common. Be careful also, you can see that here it has the same structure as a verb, and it's because it's also a verb. Goûter as a verb means like to taste. Goûter, okay? But here, because there's an article, on a l'article le, it's a noun, le goûter, okay? Et alors, comment est-ce qu'on appelle ça ici? Vous l'avez peut-être vu en boulangerie. Maybe you saw that in some boulangerie. Pas d'idée? Alors, so there's multiple ways to call it. Either it's called un pain suisse ou alors une brioche suisse. Depends on the bakery. Same situation, for example, with the pain au chocolat et chocolatine. So it's not really a debate, but depending on where you go, you may encounter pain suisse or brioche suisse, no matter, okay? And it's also, so the category that it's found in, it's une viennoiserie. So the same category as a croissant, une chocolatine, etc. Okay? Alors ça, c'est un pain suisse ou une brioche suisse. Ok? Et alors, le dernier repas, on a le...
Le dîner.
Le dîner, oui, très bien. Le dîner. Et alors, comment ça s'appelle, ce plat ici? Alors, c'est pas français. It's not French. How would you call that meal or that dish?
Spaghetti.
Oui, des spaghettis. Donc ça bouge pas.
Bolognese.
Bolognaise, oui. Spaghetti bolognaise, par exemple. Ok? Donc là, on a quelques plats. On a quelques repas aussi. On en a 4. That's what we said before about like the cultural aspect of the meals in France. For example, pour le petit déjeuner, it's not really a meal in itself. It's really just a snack. So that's why there's those apostrophes here, okay? Alors, très bien. Tout le monde se souvient du coup des repas. On va avancer. Alors. On arrive sur quelque chose d'autre qu'on a vu, c'était sur l'envie. Alors, comment est-ce qu'on exprime une envie? Quelqu'un se rappelle de ce que ça veut dire, envie? C'est quoi une envie?
To want.
To want, yes. Donc, on a le verbe ici. Le verbe pour traduire une envie, c'est vouloir. C'est un verbe du troisième groupe. Ok? Et là, il y a la conjugaison. Donc, on avait vu que les verbes du troisième groupe, c'était ceux qui étaient irréguliers. It's an irregular verb, so it would be like je veux, tu veux, elle veut, nous voulons. So you can see that there's a clear separation from the previous persons. Voulez, veulent. So basically, vouloir is to want. Okay? So you have to keep that in mind. To want. Alors j'ai deux questions. Alors la première, tu veux manger quoi au goûter? Alors c'est bientôt l'heure du goûter. So it's almost like le goûter. Qui mange le goûter ici? Alors, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire qui?
What?
It's not. What would be quoi? Qui
Okay.
is who?
Okay.
Donc qui mange au goûter? Nora, tu comprends la question?
Does it mean who do you eat snacks with, or?
It's close. It's more like who eats le goûter. So who eats a snack, let's say.
Okay.
Alors, donc la phrase, ce serait qui mange au goûter? Ok. Alors, tu manges au goûter, Nora?
Aujourd'hui, non.
Non, pas aujourd'hui. Alors, pour les autres jours, so for the other days, tu manges quoi au goûter généralement?
Euh, je, je mange pomme,
Une pomme, ok.
une pomme.
Tu manges une pomme, très bien. Et toi, Beffen, tu manges quoi au goûter?
Banane.
Mhm. Alors, un pain, alors on dirait plutôt du pain. Ok? Je mange du pain, for example. Ok? Tu mets juste du pain? Tu tartines rien dessus? It's like a plain bread or something more.
Oh, banane.
Oh, du. A banana bread? So you mean that? Hmm.
Like just banana.
Ok. Alors, du coup, on dirait plutôt, oui, du pain avec de la banane. Donc, du pain avec de la banane, par exemple. Keep in mind that avec is with. Ok? Du pain avec de la banane. Très bien, super. Ok, alors, ensuite on arrive sur la deuxième question pour le dîner. Alors, généralement, bon, c'est un peu compliqué. Tu veux manger quoi au dîner, par exemple, ce soir? Donc, what does ce soir means?
Tonight.
Tonight, ok. Donc ce soir c'est tonight. On va avec toi, Johanna. Tu veux manger quoi au dîner ce soir?
Ce soir, I don't know what I will eat. Ce soir, je mange.
It's just like not what will you eat, but more what do you want
What
to
do you
eat? So
eat?
no.
Ah, ok. Ce soir, je vais manger la pizza.
Alors, même chose qu'avec Beffen, we would use in French, for example, what's called a partitive article. So, for example, instead of saying je veux manger la pizza, on dirait plutôt je veux manger de la
De
pizza.
la pizza. Ok.
If I translate it, well, in English, you don't really use the same articles for that. You'd say like simply, I want to eat pizza. Here, it's more, I want to eat, well, je veux de la pizza, par exemple. Yeah. Ok, très bien. On finit avec toi, Bella. Tu veux manger quoi ce soir au dîner?
Est-ce qu'on peut dire je vais cuire le poulet?
Tu peux dire, je vais cuire le poulet, oui.
D'accord. C'est pas cuisiner, c'est cuire. Oui.
Ça dépend. It depends, really.
Ok.
If you want to say like, for example, if you want to say that you want to cook it, like
Yeah.
as in put it in the oven, you
Okay.
would say cuire, yeah. But in the context, I think that you would most likely mean I want to, well, je veux le cuisiner. I want to cook it generally.
Donc, on dit je vais cuisiner le poulet.
Oui, par exemple, je vais cuisiner du poulet ou je veux cuisiner du poulet. Ok, très bien,
Ok. Merci.
super. Ok, très bien. Keep in mind, so for those two sentences that we had with je veux, donc le verbe vouloir, we always had the same structure as it was like je veux manger. So it was something that we talked about, for example, when we talk about or talk with the verb vouloir, avec le verbe vouloir, c'est qu'on a le verbe, we have the verb, and then you have like the infinitive, an infinitive verb. And it's the same thing in English, where you would say, I want to eat. Same thing with French. You have to have un infinitif, un verbe à l'infinitif. Okay? Par exemple, je veux manger. If we use, for example, another verb, un autre verbe, par exemple, je veux jouer, par exemple, même chose, je veux jouer. Jouer sera infinitif. Okay? So this is something that you have to keep in mind. Usually, the verb vouloir isn't alone in itself. A sentence wouldn't be like je veux if there's an activity after. It's often found like that there's an activity after, or you would find maybe like an article if it's a noun. For example, je veux de la pizza, par exemple. Ou alors je veux, je sais pas, du pain avec de la banane, par exemple. So you have to see that after je veux, if it comes with an activity, it would be an infinitive verb. If it's like something special, an object or a specific item, you have to have those partitive articles in French. De la, du, ou des, if it's plural, okay? If it was plural, for example, it would be des pizzas, okay? Do you have any question about that? Une question peut-être sur ça? Non? Non? Ok, super. Alors ça, c'était du coup pour exprimer une envie. C'est quelque chose de assez simple. It's something simple. You just have to get used to the conjugation of the verb vouloir as it is irregular. However, for the time being, you can like strictly focus yourself on the two first persons because they are going to be the most used. Okay. Alors, on arrive du coup sur ce dont on va parler aujourd'hui. Alors, doucement. So we're going to talk about something special. So the title of the sentence was En cuisine. Do you understand, or does anybody, or does everybody understand the meaning of the expression en cuisine? Nora, tu comprends?
Is cuisine like cooking or?
So cuisine here, it's more kitchen.
Yeah, kitchen.
So like I don't know if there's a specific expression or an idiom in English for that thing, but it's like sort of so cuisine here is the place, the kitchen, but if you would to translate it, it's basically like let's get cooking or let's
Yeah.
cook. Uh, don't know if there's another expression maybe in English to talk about that. Mais on va parler, du coup, on va regarder une vidéo. Alors, vous allez un peu comprendre de quoi on parle. Alors, on va faire, so we're going to do a test. I'm not sure if you can hear the sound while I share the screen, so I think I'll try and see if you can hear the sound. Mm. Okay, you should be able to hear the sound right now. We'll just run a quick test. So does everybody can hear the sound? Okay, well, it's about a minute. Donc la vidéo dure 1 minute 22. C'est court, it's short, okay? On va juste écouter pour l'instant. So we're just going to listen and watch the video. And after, we're going to be able to discuss about it and answer those like 3 major questions, okay? So I'll leave you to the video for now. Okay.
Versez la farine dans un grand saladier. Battez les œufs entiers puis incorporez-les à la farine. Mélangez grossièrement, puis ajoutez un peu de lait pour mélanger plus facilement jusqu'à l'obtention d'une pâte homogène épaisse. Incorporez petit à petit le reste de lait. Si la pâte est encore trop épaisse à votre goût, n'hésitez pas à rajouter un peu de lait. Rajoutez du sucre avant de remélanger la pâte une dernière fois. Avant de commencer la cuisson des crêpes, ajoutez le beurre fondu à la pâte. Beurrez ou huilez une poêle. Laissez chauffer la poêle avant de verser la pâte. Faites attention à bien regraisser la poêle de temps en temps avec un essuie-tout. Une fois le premier côté prêt, vous pouvez retourner la crêpe. Les crêpes sont prêtes à être dégustées avec du sucre, de la pâte à tartiner, de la confiture, etc. Pour les conserver quelques jours, placez-les au frigo et n'oubliez pas de les filmer pour éviter qu'elles sèchent.
Ok, alors, la vidéo parle de quoi? Qu'est-ce que vous avez vu dans la vidéo? Une volontaire?
La recette de crêpes.
La recette des crêpes, oui, très bien. Alors, on a vu la recette des crêpes, du coup. This is probably, well, the easiest recipe you could possibly make at home because it's very similar to pancakes in general. So you have like very few ingredients needed to make crepe. It's fairly easy. And it's also like something that is, or that French people are really proud of. Their crêpes. Okay. Alors, Did everybody kind of get the meaning of the things that the person said in the video, or did they have some trouble understanding certain words? I think that the image must have like kind of helped you if you didn't understand the word specifically. So it was always linked with a specific action. Ok. Alors, on va pouvoir répondre à la première question. C'est quoi les 3 ingrédients des crêpes? Ou alors, les ingrédients qu'il faut pour les crêpes. So, what ingredients do you need for making crêpes? So, because you don't know the vocabulary of those words, maybe. If you know, you can just tell them, or you can like say the number, for example. Let's say the number in French, okay? Alors, quel ingrédient on a besoin pour les crêpes?
La farine,
La farine, oui. Alors, c'est le numéro combien?
numéro 1.
Le numéro 1, oui. Ok, très bien. On a besoin de farine. Ok. On a besoin de quoi d'autre?
Le lait.
Le lait, oui. C'est quel numéro le lait?
Numéro 7.
Numéro 7, très bien. Ok.
Les sels.
Le
3.
sel, oui. Ok, j'entoure. Le sel, ici, numéro 3. On a besoin de quoi d'autre? Il manque 2 ingrédients.
Les œufs.
Les œufs, oui, très bien, Beffen. Alors, on dit les œufs même si ça s'écrit comme ça. This is something that we talked about, like for the F that becomes mute with the plural. Ok, très bien, les œufs. Et le dernier ingrédient qui est...
Le beurre.
Alors, Chiara, Johanna, c'était le beurre, oui. Très bien. Le beurre numéro 9. Ok. Alors, you can see that there are very few ingredients needed for crepe. Some people add some liquor to the paste to kind of make it more flavorful. I think that it's also that is something that is very spread out in the French bakery, is to add like alcohol or rum in general to basically every pâtisserie. So for example, if you go to a bakery, most of the cream that is inside the pâtisserie are filled with some kind of liquor, for example, rum. Okay. Alors, on a vu qu'on avait du coup de la farine, on avait du sel, des œufs, du lait et du beurre. Ok. Alors, comment est-ce qu'on écrit? Alors, ici, on a... Comment est-ce que ça s'écrit pour le numéro 1?
Le sel.
Le sel, oui. Ok. Alors, le sel, ça marche. Ensuite, on a du coup... Alors, ça, c'est... Si vous voulez, it's like kind of... it's not really needed, but you can add some huile, some oil. Alors, l'huile, du coup, ça s'écrit comme ça. So be careful. We have the apostrophe here, even though it's an H, even though it starts with an H. Does anybody have a specific reason why we would say like huile and we have an apostrophe here?
Is it because the H is silent?
Yeah. So that's something that you have to keep in mind, is that in French the H is completely silent. It doesn't make any sound whatsoever. So it's the real first sound of huile is ui. So it's a vowel sound. So you have to move the apostrophe. Ok. Ensuite, on a le lait. Alors, est-ce que quelqu'un pourrait l'épeler pour moi? Can some... Épeler, c'est spell. So can someone spell the word lait for me? So how would you spell that?
L
L
A I T.
oui.
Eh.
L-A-I-T. Très bien. Ok. Alors après on a la farine. Alors comment est-ce qu'on épelle ici farine? Peut-être Beffen, tu pourrais essayer pour la farine. How would you spell farine?
I'm not sure.
So
The
you can try.
F.
F, oui. So keep in mind that all the consonants, almost all the consonants have the same pronunciation as in English. For example, F, okay. Ensuite, on a.
Mm.
So what's the
A.
other letter? A, oui.
A.
R, close. R,
I.
I, oui.
N.
N, et
Oui.
le dernier?
E.
E, yeah. So you have to keep in mind that this final letter, I think it's the most important letter in the French language. D, E, le. Yep. Then we have les E, okay. So E, O, E, U, F, S, okay. Et le dernier, alors peut-être Chiara,
Yeah,
how
I'm
would-
gonna try. Is it le beurre?
le beurre, oui. So how would you spell le beurre?
Be,
B. Mhm.
a,
It's
e,
E.
u. Okay. And then again. Isn't you u? I thought you was u.
C'est U.
Okay.
U, oui.
And then and then
E. Yeah. Donc c'est B-E-U-R-R-E. Okay. So let's take the example, for example, if we talk about the English alphabet. Vowels can do like two sounds, or vowels in alone can make two sounds. If we take like, for example, the letter E, so that E, you can make like the sound E in French, and also the sound, well, the E in French, okay? So it's kind of, for example, if we take that letter in English, so you would say E if it's on its own, like in the alphabet, and so for all the vowels in French, you would say, for example, the normal sound without like the diphthong. So you would say it this way. For example, here. Same thing with, for example, the letter I. Instead of saying like in French I, you would say ich, okay? So instead of this, you would say this. You would say ich. Same thing with A. You wouldn't say A in French, you would say A. Because we've seen that vowel letters can only produce one sound when they're alone. We've seen, for example, that A, E, I, O, U. Those are specific vowels. Okay? Alors, très bien. Alors, ça, c'est la recette des crêpes. Est-ce que quelqu'un a déjà fait des crêpes? Alors, le verbe ici, ça va être faire. Donc, par exemple, Beffen, tu as fait des crêpes? what's the question here? Est-ce que tu as déjà fait des crêpes?
Do you want a crepe?
No, we have like the verb faire. What was faire?
To do.
To do, yeah, or to make.
Okay.
Faire has two meanings. In French, it's either to make or to do. Here, it's more like to make. Et donc, la question c'est, est-ce que tu as déjà fait des crêpes? So what would be the question here?
Do you want to make a crepe?
So there's not the verb vouloir. It's just like, have you already made crêpes?
Okay.
For example. So, tu as déjà fait des crêpes?
Oui.
Oui. Elles étaient bonnes?
Yeah. Oui.
Yeah, très bien, super. Ok. Alors, ok, on avance. Alors, so something that was kind of recurring in the video was the use of les unités de mesure. C'est quoi les unités de mesure?
Measurement units?
Ça veut dire... Oui, les unités de mesure, c'est measurement units. Okay. You can see again, if we take the example of measurement units, of the inversion of the adjective with the noun. Okay. Mesure is an adjective and it's after the noun. Well, it's opposed in English. Alors, les unités de mesure, donc, measurement units. Okay. Alors, so this is like kind of a difficult topic to talk about because, well, some countries have different measurements or measurement units. Par exemple, Johanna, au Canada, c'est quoi les unités de mesure?
We use the metric system.
Ok, donc le système métrique, donc comme en France. Et so that is for like, for example, distance.
Mhm.
But for like, for example, with quantity, yeah.
Usually for recipes, it's cups or spoons.
Oui. Alors c'est un peu à l'américaine. It's kind of the American way to measure things. Okay. Donc on fait pas ça nous en France. We don't do that here. We most likely use the grammage, okay, with grams, kilograms, etc. En Australie, Chiara, on utilise quelle unité de mesure? Chiara, can you hear us? Maybe. On va passer à toi, Bethan. En Angleterre, on utilise quelle unité de mesure?
We use a variety of them, so grams or ounces quite often.
Ok. Alors, c'est différent, du coup, de la France, ok. Donc, on va parler un peu des nombres en général. We're going to talk about numbers because this is very important. Usually, the system that we use in France is fairly simple. It's kind of based on the, well, just like the metric system, for example. It's kind of very easy to understand. Okay. Je t'ai pas demandé, toi, par exemple, Nora, en Irlande, c'est comme en Angleterre?
Metric.
Donc c'est le système métrique, ok? Ouais, c'est différent du coup. Ok, donc là, on va parler un peu plus généralement des unités de mesure pour la cuisine. So measurement units for, well, for cooking. Alors, on va dire deux unités de mesure qu'on revoit ici. C'est même, on va dire 2 catégories. So we have like 2 categories. We have litre, ok? Et on a gramme. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'ils veulent dire les deux? C'est quoi un gramme? Et c'est quoi un litre? What can you measure with those 2 units?
Gram is for the dry ingredients.
For example, dry, so it would be like the weight in itself. Mhm. Donc, dry ingredients, on va dire les ingrédients secs, ok? Ou le poids. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire, poids? So
Weight.
weight, ok? Et pour les litres, du coup, le contraire des ingrédients secs, c'est les ingrédients liquides. Be careful, we have the kind of the return of the QU, le QU, which isn't pronounced as Q, it's just like the sound K. Here you would say like liquide, ok? Et donc pour les litres, c'est les ingrédients liquides. Donc par exemple, pour le lait est liquide, ok? Alors on a aussi le litre et on a aussi le centilitre, ou écrit comme ça, litre réel, ok? You often find like those abbreviations in recipes, like for example the CL, le CL, c'est centilitre. So it's for example, it's well 100 centilitres, ça fait 1 litre. So if you have like 100 centiliters, it makes 1 liter, etc. Okay, so just a matter of well, conversion in itself. Okay. Alors, on a ces 2 unités de mesure là. On a les grammes, on a les litres. On a quoi d'autre pour mesurer? So what else do we have to measure in the text here? 3 œufs, 250 grammes de farine, une pincée de sel, un demi-litre ou 40 grammes.
The quantity.
Oui, alors c'est la quantité, oui. So what we have?
3 œufs. 3 œufs.
Yeah,
3
3 œufs.
3
3
œufs.
œufs. Mhm. Et on a aussi la pincée. Qu'est-ce que c'est pincée? C'est quoi?
Pinch.
Pinch.
Une pincée, c'est a pinch. Oui, très bien. So you have like the same root with pins, okay? It's also something like for example, in French, you have the word pince. Pince is in French, it's well, either claw or a kind of a way to talk about the end in general. Okay. Donc, you can see like a resemblance, a shared structure. Ok. Alors, on va un peu réviser les nombres. So we're going to review our knowledge of the numbers. Here, so the first text is for 15 crêpes. C'est pour environ 15 crêpes. Tout le monde comprend environ? C'est quoi environ? Anybody have an idea of what that means, maybe? So it's like approximately.
Is it portions?
Alors environ, le mot environ, the word environ is just like approximately. Because for example, crepe, well, you're going to have this recipe for maybe 15 crepes, depending on the size you make. So it's just an approximation. OK? Alors ici, c'est pour environ 15 crêpes. Donc on a la liste d'ingrédients pour 15, mais alors pour 30. Alors, on a besoin de combien d'œufs ici, du coup?
Six.
6. OK, très bien. Et alors, comment est-ce que tu dirais toute la phrase ici, enfin, avec le mot œuf? Tu dirais 6 œufs. OK? 6 œufs. So it's something like the kind of to make the link with the word. So we talked about that maybe at the beginning, which is something that is a bit hard to get. It's like, for example, if I write it more simply, it would be written this way. It's like 6 œufs, okay? You can see that the X is heard on the first sound here. So you say 6 œufs, just as if it was a Z. It's called la liaison, and it's something you make to kind of make the sentence a bit prettier, but it doesn't really matter in the correctness of your sentence, ok? Donc on a 6 œufs, très bien. Ensuite, on aura besoin de combien de grammes de farine?
Euh,
500
60.
grammes.
Ok, donc Nora et Johanna, on aura besoin de 500 grammes de farine, ok? 500 grammes. Okay, so either you can hear like the Q in 500, or you can just say 500. I think that most of the time you wouldn't hear the Q. Most people say 500. Doesn't matter, okay? Alors 500 grammes de farine, okay? For the spelling, so it's a bit hard, but it's like 500. Okay? 500. Alors ensuite, on aura besoin de quoi? On aura besoin de sel. Alors,
De pincée.
de pincée,
Pincée.
oui.
Pincée.
Ouais. De pincée. Et comment est-ce que tu écrirais pincée? So would you keep the same spelling here, or would you add something else?
Do you add the S at the end?
Oui, très bien. Mais, so we can't hear the S at the end. It's de pincée. We can't hear the S, which is different from English, okay? Ensuite, on avait alors 50 centilitres ou 1 demi-litre. Yeah, that's something that I didn't say. Demi is half, a half, okay? Donc, ici, on aurait quoi?
1 litre
Mhm.
de lait.
1 litre, oui. 1 litre de lait. Ou alors, on aurait aussi... On peut aussi dire 100 centilitres, ok? Et on finit avec le beurre, du coup, on a ici 40 grammes de beurre. Et ça devient
80 grammes de beurre.
80 grammes de beurre. Oui, très bien. Ok, 80 grammes. There's a reminder here. For example, 80. It gets really tricky to spell it. Same thing with 90. Okay. But here that goes. Okay. Alors, on aura besoin de tout ça. Once again, like I said before, like that the crepes, everybody is kind of their own recipe. Some people add alcohol, they add some almond liquor. to make it taste a bit more earthy, I would say. I don't know how to explain it. But it's just depends on the recipe you get. Okay. Alors, très bien, super. On va pas faire de pause. So does anybody want to make a little break or can we go on forward? Pas de pause? Ok, allez, on avance. Très bien. Alors, on va maintenant parler de l'impératif. This is something that is very easy for you now, at least. L'impératif. Alors, je vais mettre ça là. Ok, alors, c'est quoi l'impératif? Does anybody know what this is? So the word is close to English, l'impératif.
Imperative?
The imperative, ok, donc c'est un, so it's a tense, ok, c'est un temps. L'impératif, so what is the use of the imperative, Joanna?
Like
in
when you're
English?
giving instructions?
Instructions or orders, okay. So gladly, the imperative in French and English is very similar in their structure. For example, you have a text here. You can see that there's no subject, same as English. For example, if you look at a recipe in English, you would have, instead of vers, you would see pour, okay? So it's really the same structure. What is different from English? Because French has different conjugation depending on the subject, you wouldn't see the same spelling or the same pronunciation. For example, here we have vers, okay? Does anybody have an idea of what the person could possibly be? Is it like the second person of the singular, the first person of the plural, or the second person of the plural? Any idea maybe?
Is
No.
it first person plural?
So it's not the first person plural. So that's something that we're going to talk about. Okay. Ok, alors on a un texte avec du coup 5 étapes. Ok. Alors on va essayer de lire so that everybody can kind of read it. I think that we'll split the 5 steps into one person. Alors, Chiara, can you hear us, Chiara? Maybe? Not sure about that.
Yep, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, no problem. Alors, est-ce que tu peux lire l'étape 1 ici?
Um, the grand bowl. So just translate step 1.
No, est-ce que tu peux lire? Alors, lire, c'est to read. Okay?
Okay.
Lire,
Sorry, I've had delivery drivers coming in and out, so I do apologize.
no problem.
Vers dan un gran bol o un saladia.
Ou un saladier, yeah.
Le fan, les sel et les œufs entiers. Mélange les tout.
Mélange le tout, oui. Alors, be careful with, like, for example, entier. Same thing, like, it's part of a single sound. The ER in French is always a single sound. For example, the ER would make like E, the sound E, just like the E accent aigu, just like this. And so that is a specific combination of vowels. We call it like le dans l'eau. So it's kind of the E in the O. And it makes the sound E. So basically, you would say les œufs. Yeah. Ok, très bien. Alors, verse dans un grand bol ou un saladier la farine, le sel et les œufs entiers, mélange le tout. Très bien, merci Kiara. Qui peut lire l'étape 2? Alors, Baffen peut-être? Oui.
Ajoute le beurre fondu et le lait petit à petit. Mélange jusqu'à obtenir une pâté âcre bien lisse.
Bien lisse, oui. Be careful with the QU, it's que. So for example, you would say like jusqu'à, okay? And for here, so there's another word in French that is almost the same spelling. It's pâté. So that's what you said. Pâte here is different from pâté. Pâte means the paste. Pâté is well, I think it's in English, pâté.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pâté. So like the charcuterie thing. Ok. Très bien, merci Baffen. Alors pour l'étape 3, on va avec Bella. Est-ce que tu nous entends, Bella?
Oui,
Ouais. Est-ce que tu peux me lire l'étape 3?
d'accord. Fais chauffer ta poêle à feu moyen avec une petite noix de beurre.
Très bien, super. Alors, la poêle, so you have like the image here, ok?
Yeah.
Très bien, super. Alors, pour l'étape 4, on va aller avec Nora.
Euh, Aussitôt, le beurre fondu verse une luge de pâté à crème dans ta poêle.
Dans ta poêle, oui.
Poêle.
So, same thing here, it's pâte. You don't see an accent, so you assume that it's mute.
Ok.
So it's une louche de pâte. Mhm,
Pâte.
très bien, super. Et on finit avec toi, Johanna.
Quand la crêpe pour souffler, retourne-la de l'autre côté et les cuire encore 15 secondes environ.
Environ, oui. Here, same thing, like the E, you don't see an accent, so you would
Okay.
assume that it's pour souffle.
Pour souffler.
Ok, très bien, super. Merci à toutes. Alors, on a 3 questions ici. On a la première, c'est entoure. C'est entourer, c'est ça. Ok. Alors, les ingrédients en vert. Alors, c'est quelle couleur vert? Tout le monde se souvient de la couleur vert? Ok, donc vert ici. Ok, alors, on a quoi comme ingrédient ici dans le texte?
La farine,
Farine, oui.
le sel,
Quoi d'autre? Le sel,
les
les
œufs,
œufs,
les œufs, oui, très bien.
le beurre,
Le beurre, et en dernier,
le
le
lait.
lait.
le lait. Ok, super. Alors ça, c'est tous les ingrédients. Same spelling as in English, ingredients, okay? But you can see it's a good example of the French pronunciations of words where like en makes a single sound. En always makes the sound en. So phonetically, well, I don't have the keyboard to transcribe it, but it's the same pronunciation as that group of letters too in French. Those two groups of letters always makes the sound en, okay? And the two after are mute, okay? Alors ensuite, on a un mot qui est aussi anglais, ustensile. So it's the same thing in English. Utensils, here it's ustensile. It's probably an English word that was, well, it maybe was borrowed from English, probably, okay? Alors, on va entourer en jaune les ustensiles. On a quoi comme ustensile ici dans le texte?
Bowl.
Un
Une
bol,
grande bowl.
oui. Alors, on peut rajouter grand bol, oui. Grand bol, ok.
Is saladia also?
Oui, un saladier. Donc, saladier, on peut voir ici, c'est un grand bol, ok. On a quoi d'autre comme ustensile? On en a un autre.
Top bowl.
Qu'est-ce que tu as dit, Nora?
Is like the pan. Is that
Alors,
the
c'est à poil, oui.
poêle?
Well, the spelling is very, very special. Poil is kind of this word that has a specific spelling, and it just doesn't look like anything like how it's pronounced. Poil. It's the same pronunciation as this this other word in French, which is poil. It's hair. Or is it in English? Is it hairs or hair? It's not like les cheveux. It's le poil. Ok. Ok, très bien. Alors, et en dernier, on a des verbes. On va les entourer en rouge. Alors, quel verbe on a dans le texte?
Verse,
Verse, oui. On a quoi d'autre?
mélange,
Mhm. Mélange, oui.
ajoute,
Ajoute. So what does ajout mean?
add,
Add.
Add, oui, très bien. Ajoute. On a le même verbe sur le paragraphe d'avant. On a mélange aussi. On en
fait,
a d'autres dans l'étape 3. Alors c'est fait chauffer ou juste fait. However, you can like almost add fish chauffer together, but because it's a part of a group altogether, the action is not just faire, it's faire chauffer. So you could almost add them into a group if you wanted to. Fait chauffer, ok. On a le retour de verse. And there's, well, two other verbs in the last étape, la dernière étape.
return,
Oui, retourne, très bien. Et les dernières,
laisse,
There's
so same thing with fish chauffé, it's more like laisse cuire. Because the
Yes.
action isn't just to let, because less is let. It's more like let it cook. So laisse cuire. Ok. Alors ça nous fait plein de verbes. So each and every one of those verbs are in the imperative form. When we are at the imperative, quand on est à l'impératif, it gets really harder to identify those verbs because they don't have the subjects before, so they kind of are maybe confused with, for example, verbal nouns, which is often found also in French. Ok, alors on va enchaîner sur du coup l'impératif. So we're going to talk now about how the imperative is formed in French. Alors, on a tout ça ici. Alors, there's a little table here about a verb that you may understand because it's very similar in English. Utiliser. So what's utiliser?
To use,
To use.
to utilize.
Oui. I think, well, it's both like to utilize or to use, okay? So, something that is different from English, as I've said before, because you have the same spelling, the same way to conjugate between different persons. You have like the imperative, you have only like one person in itself. In French, it's different. You have only three persons. You don't have like, for example, le jeu. You don't have I, because you, well, logically don't give orders to yourself. Or if you do, like you speak at the second person. And it's also interesting to talk about the use of the tu and its relations with vous. In English, you only have one person. It's like, well, you. It's either singular or plural depending on the context. I assume that some of you who may are in France right now, you have encountered the use of the vous for singular persons. Yeah. So Joanna, I see you like nodding. So what
Mhm.
does it mean when
Like,
you?
it's a more polite way of saying to.
Yeah, this is called like the vouvoiement. So it's basically to refer to someone, maybe your elder or someone you don't know, a stranger, or maybe like la boulangère, so the person working at the boulangerie. You use this pronoun here. You use the vous. So you would conjugate your verbs with the second person plural. However, the use of the vous isn't really like something, it's something that is very cultural in France, like in the, well, in the art of France. I think it's very common to use the vous to refer to someone. However, if you go into different English or different French speaking countries, who may have like some different norms when it comes to talking or to addressing to people, but you may also find that the vous isn't used. For example, if you go, well, that's an example that is a bit far-fetched, but in Tahiti, Tahiti is a French-speaking country. They don't use the vouvoiement. They don't refer to strangers as vous, because the norms are different. So you would say tu. So for example, Joanna, what person do you use for, well, when you meet a stranger or go to make your grocery shopping? Do you use vous or tu?
I haven't really used vous in a sentence.
Yeah. So you would use tu because that's what you instantly go to, since it's the, well, the person of the singular. Honestly, it really depends on the person. I think that some people are really old-fashioned and they may really be attached to the use of the vouvoiement. However, well, it doesn't really matter, especially if you make like such efforts to speak in French. I think it should be good enough for you, okay? Alors c'est pour ça, so that's why we have like only 3 persons. So it's like, well, the second person of the singular, then we have the first person of the plural, and the second person of the plural, which can also be the second person of the singular. For example, in that recipe, you could have seen versé, for example. In most recipes, you will see versé because you're addressing yourself to a broad audience who may not know you. So you say like versé, but again, doesn't really matter. So pour l'impératif, there's a little square here that talks more into details about what's l'impératif and how to use it in French. You can see that it's the same conjugation as for the present tense. Just a single difference is on the second person of the singular. What is different from the second person of the singular here? Anybody knows?
No S.
There's no S, yeah. And it's going to be only for the first group, the ER group, okay? Here, for example, if we were at the present simple tense, you would say tu utilises. Here, it's just utilise without the S, okay? Alors ensuite, on a utilisons, utiliser, okay? So does that seem clear to you? So it's a bit harder than English, where you have like just one way to spell and just one way to conjugate. Well, it's just part of the conjugation in general in French. It gets a little bit harder, okay? Donc là, on a plusieurs verbes. On a verse, mélange, ajoute, mélange, verse, retourne là et laisse cuire. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire mélange?
Mix.
Mix, oui, très bien. Ajoute, on a dit que c'était had. Qu'est-ce que c'est chauffer? So it's there's a root, a shared root with chaud. So it's eat up, or well, eat up your pan. Fais chauffer ta poêle. Chaud is the word for hot. Okay. So for example, for the weather, I think that where I am, it's like 20 degrees. So you would say aujourd'hui il fait chaud. Okay. Alors ensuite on a verse, retourne. So maybe a little bit harder here. Retourner. So it's a very important step.
Like flip.
Flip, oui. So it's a very important step into making crepe. Okay, so you have to flip the crepe over. Et ensuite, la dernière, on avait dit cuire. Alors c'était Bella, tu l'avais utilisé, cuire. C'est quoi cuire?
Cook.
Cook.
To cook.
Yeah. Or to heat up, depending on the context. Okay. And not to be confused with cuire, which is lever. Yeah, something about French, which has the we call them homonymes, which are like basically well, the words with the same pronunciation but different meanings. Here you have lever, and here you have to cook or to heat up. Okay. I don't know. Does anybody have a question about, well, the imperative in French? No? Okay. Très bien. Alors, on arrive ensuite sur les prépositions. Okay, so about preposition. We have two important prepositions here, or just one, but we see it twice in the text. It's dans. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire dans?
In.
In, yep. Or also you could see in different situations, it could also mean at or to. If you say like, for example, I'm going to somewhere, you could say je vais dans. Okay. Alors, ce sont donc des prépositions. Dans, ça veut dire in. Et alors là, on a trois différents objets. Alors, c'est quoi le premier? C'est quoi ici?
La
Um,
farine.
un bowl.
Un bol, oui. Alors, pourquoi la farine? There's nothing inside.
I thought you meant the question was what goes in the bowl.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
the simple question is what is
What
this
is the okay?
yeah. Donc c'est un bol, oui. Different spelling from English, un bol. OK? Ensuite, on a quoi ici? So what would you say in English?
Casserole dish.
Bah du coup, en français, ça c'est une casserole, tout simplement. Casserole. So is that the same spelling in English?
Yeah, I think so.
Une
Pretty
casserole.
close. Yeah.
Yeah. Et le dernier ici, c'est une idée.
Wait, I'm so sorry. I'm confused. Are we doing the pot or the one with a circle around it?
So we said like the first one was a bowl.
Yeah.
The other one, like the sort of pot, the casserole, c'est une casserole. Et le dernier, c'est ici.
See, I
The
think
last
we would call that one a tray, maybe.
a tray. In French, we wouldn't say really tray because the meaning of tray in French is like un rack ou un bac.
Yeah.
We would say un plat, which is close to the English plate.
Oh.
But I don't know if you call it a plate in English. Would you call that a plate in English? No?
Yeah.
Well, that's something that gets lost into translation. Okay? On a un bol, un plat, une casserole. Ok? Alors, ça nous emmène sur du coup notre activité finale. So I'm just presenting quickly like two different recipes of famous French desserts or well, dishes. So it's only sweet things here. Does anybody have already eaten that thing here? So maybe Joanna, Bella, Nora, Chiara, since you were there in France, you see this thing in bakeries around like the starting from the month of January.
Yeah, I've tried it. I can't exactly remember what it's called, but is it correct that you guys only have it for like the month of January and then it's kind of stopped being sold?
Oui, tout à fait. Yeah, it's only for the month of February or of January. Yeah. So it is called the galette des rois. Ok. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire roi?
Sorry, what does galette mean? Because you also use galette for the savory crepes, is that correct?
Yeah. So galette is basically like just a circle thing. you see a lot of things that are called galette. So for example, like little biscuits, which are round, would be called galette. You see also galette for like salty crepes. Here, it just means like something round. But here it's called la galette des rois. So it's basically the galette of the kings. This is like I think like a middle age traditions. So Kiara, since you tried it, could you like explain sort of the tradition of how you eat la galette des rois?
From my understanding, you cut it is like based on the amount of people that are sharing it or something, and there's a little bit that you find in the cake, and whoever finds it in their slice has like good luck for the year or something along that line.
Yeah, it's like something like that. So it's something that you bake or that you buy at the boulangerie, and there's like we call it a fève. It's just like something that is hidden in the galette, and that someone who gets the slice with the thing in the cake gets crowned, okay? And it's kind of, well, just a celebration, and well, it could be something with good luck or just basically mean nothing depending on the person's. But this is a very famous traditions only during the month of January. Et ensuite, on a quoi ici?
La crème brûlée.
La crème brûlée, oui, very famous, crème brûlée. So the spelling is like this, crème brûlée. So you can see that for the ingredients, for example, with the crème brûlée, this is fairly easy. There's not much sugar, egg yolks, cream, and milk. Okay. Alors, these are two examples of famous desserts. Also, crepes are usually eaten in the month of February. So that's why I don't know why we are so cyclic and so celebratory when it comes to food, but it's something that is very, very recurring, especially with the galette and the crepes. Okay. So that leads us to the little last discussion about today. C'est quoi ta recette préférée? Alors ça peut être une entrée, ça peut être un plat ou un dessert. Okay, doesn't specifically have to be, for example, a dessert or something that you eat at the goûter. I want you to present like your recipe, your favorite recipe, and what you need to bake that thing. Okay. So if you have like une recette préférée that you have in mind, peut-être une entrée, un plat ou un dessert. Alors j'aimerais bien que vous y pensiez un petit peu. So we'll maybe start with Bella. Bella, est-ce que tu as une idée de recette préférée à présenter?
J'aime bien le saumon grillé
Le saumon grillé, oui. Alors, tu as besoin de quoi pour faire du saumon grillé?
et de l'huile, du sel, et du poivre,
Mhm,
du citron,
ouais.
c'est tout.
Et du saumon.
Oui, du saumon. Oui,
Du saumon, oui.
désolé.
Well, if you forget about the salmon, I think it's going to be very hard. Ok, très bien, super. Donc, du saumon grillé, très bien. Johanna, tu as peut-être une idée, toi, pour ta recette préférée?
Ma recette préférée est... I don't know. I don't know what else.
No idea?
I know,
No
I need to
problem.
think about it.
You can think about it for a while.
Okay.
Nora, tu as une idée peut-être d'une recette préférée?
Ma recette préférée est la roulade.
La
C'est
roulade?
meringue.
I've never heard of that. La roulade?
Uh, it's egg white and sugar, and then
Okay.
you whisk. So it's like in English we call it like a meringue.
Ah, une
But
meringue. Ah oui,
yeah.
j'ai entendu roulade. Ok, une meringue. Ok.
So prendre des œufs blanches.
Alors,
Blanc,
des blancs d'œufs.
blonde. Okay.
Mhm.
So des des sucres,
Du sucre, oui.
de sucre.
Et c'est tout?
And say two. And then
C'est
for
très simple,
its
oui.
decoration,
Mhm.
les like framboise, raspberries is framboise,
Oh, raspberry, c'est framboise, oui.
framboise.
Mhm. Très bien, super. De la meringue à la framboise, du coup. Ok. Bethan, est-ce que tu as une idée, toi, d'une recette préférée?
Ma recette préférée est le brownie.
Le brownie, ok, ou le brownie. Très
Ouais.
bien.
Prendre des œufs, euh,
Mhm.
des farines,
De la farine, oui.
des sucres, de vanilla,
De la vanille.
oui,
Uh-huh.
euh,
And the most important ingredient?
euh, du chocolat.
Le chocolat, oui. Très bien, super. Ok. Chiara, est-ce que tu as une recette préférée?
Ma recette préférée est la pan à banane.
Ah, le banana bread?
Yeah, ah oui. Euh,
Unfortunately, we don't have a word in French to say banana bread. We just say banana bread with a very thick French accent. Donc un banana bread.
okay, so you wouldn't translate it to bread
No.
of
There's some things that we don't translate in French. We keep the English way of saying it.
because I did get a bit confused the other day when I saw it was like panna olive. So it was like bread with olives.
Yeah.
So would
Pain aux
that,
olives?
so is that just the same with like, is that translatable compared to banana bread?
I don't know. I don't think. Well, in the case of banana bread, I think that maybe if you find them in bakeries, maybe some bakers want to translate it so it's more easily understandable. But when we take the example of, well, the brownie, we
Yeah.
don't translate it into, like, for example, gâteau chocolat avec des noix. You just say a brownie. Same thing with the banana bread. I think that most of the time we don't translate it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Ok, alors le banana bread. Et Johanna, une recette préférée peut-être?
Oui, ma recette préférée est la soupe au poulet.
La soupe au poulet, d'accord.
Oui, prendre le poulet, l'oignon, céleri, les carottes,
Les carottes,
les
oui.
carottes
Mhm.
et le bouillon.
Le bouillon, oui.
Mhm.
Ok, super. D'autres
Yeah.
choses? Anything else?
Mm,
No?
no, no.
Rien d'autre? Well, it's like soups or we in French, I think we wouldn't specifically classify that as a soup. We would say like a bouillon, un bouillon.
Mm.
Yeah. Donc un bouillon au poulet. Okay. No worries, Kiara, you can leave. We're done anyway, so no problem about that. Loga, if you have like an idea of your favorite recipe, you can write that in the chat and I'll try to give you some feedback, okay? Très bien, super. Alors, ça nous emmène sur la fin du coup. So we talked about, well, some stuff today. Does anybody have a question about what we've seen so far today or even before? Non, pas de questions. Pas de question. Logo, if you have a question, you can type it in chat before we go, okay? Well, if you don't have a specific question for now, well, it's going to be time to say goodbye, de dire au revoir. Loga is saying in the chat, j'aime le muffin au chocolat. You would say muffin au chocolat. Yeah. I'll just write a quick correction. Muffin au chocolat. Okay. Super. Well, if you don't have any questions for now, on va se dire au revoir, ok? Et on se voit du coup mardi prochain. Ça marche? Ben, merci d'être venu. Thank you for coming in today. I hope that I'll see you on Tuesday. We're getting close to the end of the course. We have like I think it's 5 more classes to go. So in about 3 weeks, we should be done. Okay. Donc merci beaucoup d'être venu et je vous souhaite un bon week-end du coup. Bon week-end à tous.
Merci
Merci.
beaucoup. Bon week-end.
Passez un bon week-end.
Bonne journée.
Bonne journée,
revoir.
Nora. Au revoir, au revoir. Au revoir, Bella. Au revoir, Loga. Well, Loga, is it possible to progress to the next level? What do you mean by that? If it's like doing harder stuff, or for you to access well, deeper classes? Yes, harder classes. Well, if you think you're ready, I assume that you can try to. I think that in most classes, before entering the course, you will have to do kind of a test of position to kind of know where you could go. Obviously, the objective of this class is to kind of learn and be able to access the harder levels. If you feel ready to do that, well, you just have to see with the the persons who are handling the harder classes. Okay. Well, I hope that this kind of answers your question. If you have a more specific question, you can always write me an email. Okay. Super. Bon, merci Loga. Au revoir. Passez une bonne journée.